Calum Porch, Mellon Learning Center, K through 12. Marciela Peraza, Mosley Elementary. Sadie Corley, Peniel Baptist Academy. And Brett Edwards, Putnam Academy of the Arts and Sciences, who also happens to have a birthday today. Happy birthday, Brett! Yay! Thank you all. We're going to take pictures. I'll take a picture with each student individually, and then if family or educators want to come up, we can do that too. What? A group shot? Sure. Whatever you say, Peter.
Okay. Stand by the birthday boy here. Really close together. Oh.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Oh, we gotta get that. Oh. I tried. That way, there you go. Okay, everybody ready? Smile. Yeah. All right. That's our market. That's yeah. It only gets more fun from here. Good job.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Palatka City Commission meeting on January 11th. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. and the invocation will be led by Chaplain Mulberry. Pastor Mulberry.
Good evening, everyone. Father, again, we thank you for this opportunity to be in your presence one more time. We pray, God, that you would bless the working minds of this council, that you will give them what to do and how to do, God. Give them the leading and the guiding of you, directions for the city, God, for the good of this city. Thank you for your blessings upon it now. Pray, God, that you would give them wisdom in decision making. We thank you for what you're doing, God. And even now, we give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Ms. Krantz, please.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Tammy McCaskill. Here. Commissioner Justin Campbell.
Present.
Commissioner Will Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Rufus Borum.
Present.
Mayor Robbie Correa.
Present.
All members are present and accounted for, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes for December 14th, 2023, regular meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. A chance to read the December 22nd, 2023 special called meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. We're going to go onward to public recognition presentations. The first presentation we have is the Memorial Bridge Lights. Commissioner Leota Wilkinson.
Good afternoon, good evening, y'all. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your time. I know you know, is this on?
Oh, there we go. Thank you. For public record, my name is Leota Wilkinson. I'm Vice Chair of the Putnam County Board of Commissioners and also representative of District 2, which encompasses a portion of the city of Palatka. I'm here tonight to share some exciting news. The governor recently approved the Florida Department of Transportation's 5-year work plan. Included on the work plan for FDOT was a $16 to $18 million project for the Palatka Memorial Bridge lighting. This capital investment project is for a new dynamic state-of-the-art color-changing LED light, allowing for special lighting displays similar to what you see in the Costa Bridge in Jacksonville. I think I put an example in your package. Hopefully you've received that. The special lighting system would be a community asset for the purpose of recognizing, commemorating, and promoting federal and state holidays in accordance with FDOT's bridge lighting policy. In addition, there's a safety component to this new lighting project. Under bridge lighting adds to safety and functionality of the bridge for pedestrians, vehicular traffic, and boaters. As a well-lit bridge is definitely more secure for everyone. I think we can all agree. The Palatka Memorial Bridge, as you probably know, is 4,020 feet that spans the beautiful St. Johns River, connecting the city of Palatka, Putnam County seat, to East Palatka. But most importantly, it is the only permanent river crossing between Green Cove Springs and Clay County and Astor in Lake County. I would also add that the Palatka Memorial Bridge is the gateway into the city from all areas east and south of Palatka. I'm excited that the city is willing to invest this money, this $18 million into Palatka and Putnam County with the bridge lighting project. It is worth noting that the lighting project was not initiated by the Putnam County Board of County Commissioners, nor did we lobby to try to receive this project funding. We are just as surprised as you are that we're going to potentially receive this project for the Palatka Memorial Bridge. The Board of County Commissioners has not voted on this project. It has been discussed during commissioner comments a couple of times, and I do have the direction from the BOCC to present this to you today. Incorporating LED lighting into our bridge can be an extreme benefit to our community. Some of the highlights of moving forward with this project is that it will make the bridge look unique and attractive to both our citizens and tourists. No one can deny that a colored bridge is an attractive tourist spot. Tourism brings in more revenue to the city of Palatka and Putnam County. In fact, some of the most well-known bridges around the world have increased their popularity because of illuminated bridge lights. Illumination will create a distinguished signature with a more appealing look than that of a dull and boring bridge. It creates a unique visual experience, particularly during holidays. Some examples that I was able to find: red, white, and blue during Memorial Day weekend, MLK Day, Independence Day, President's Day, September 11th, and Veterans Day. I get the vision in my head how beautiful that would be. In February, something like red, black, and green for Black History Month, red and pink for Valentine's Day, perhaps in March, green for St. Patty's Day. September could be purple for overdose awareness, October pink for breast cancer, and maybe at Christmas we could have red and green. Most importantly, it will add vibrancy to the city of Palatka and become a focal point for the entire city, and will add to the beautification of the Palatka riverfront that the city has already invested so much in. An illuminated bridge can make the city of Palatka more attractive and even more beautiful than it already is. The city has a lot to gain by having a vibrant, attractive, and beautiful bridge. Adding LED lighting to the Memorial Bridge offers the city a chance to strengthen its identity and provides an opportunity to capture the attention of hundreds and thousands of people while still preserving our small town nature. It gives visitors and locals alike a new reason to spend time in the city of Palatka. LED lighting is among the most energy efficient options a municipality can choose when deciding ways to improve the community. FDOT would completely fund this project. They would handle construction from start to finish. But in order for this project to move forward, FDOT is requesting an agency, either the city or the county, to take the lead and to sign a construction and maintenance agreement, which was also included in your package. FDOT has provided us with estimated operating cost, which was also in your package, somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000 annually for the lights. The lights have an expected 20-year life expectancy since they are LED and will, of course, only be lit during nighttime hours. Since the city of Palatka currently operates and maintains the Palatka Memorial Bridge lights through a contractor, Putnam County BOC is proposing the city would become the lead agency on this new updated bridge light project. Also proposed during our discussions, but certainly not completely agreed upon. Like I said, we haven't taken a vote. We just had discussions, is the possible opportunity for cost sharing. So we would not be asking you to take this on wholeheartedly. We would want to do some kind of a cost share opportunity with you if you were to consider this and move forward. One of the significant parts of this project is that whichever agency decides to take the lead on this project, we'll be working directly with FDOT for the bridge light illumination schedule. So whichever agency wants to move forward and would sign the maintenance agreement and would get to schedule the lights and the coloring on the bridge. In closing, I would like to add that I don't think we'd ever be able to fund this with local dollars. The fact that FDOT, the state of Florida, with the governor's office, is willing to invest up to $18 million into the Palatka Memorial Bridge, the gateway into the city of Palatka. I know it's owned by them. It's not owned by us. It's not owned by y'all. It's a huge opportunity that I just think we can't say no to. The reality is, if we don't accept this project, then it will move on to the next city in Florida, and they will receive the benefits of having a beautiful, attractive, and well-lit bridge. As a side note, within the FDOT 5-year work plan is approximately $245 million in projects in Putnam and Palatka coming within the next 5 years. I think the stars have aligned. This is a great opportunity for us. We have the last year of our Palatka state representative in office in Tallahassee. We have Mr. Browning as our FDOT commissioner from Palatka. He may not, if you don't know, there's a possibility he might not be commissioner next year. We don't know. So I just don't know that we'd get this opportunity again. I just think we need to do everything we can to have a good working relationship with FDOT now and into the future. I think our city and county depend on this good working relationship. The math is pretty simple, $1,000 to $1,600 a month, with the potential of dividing that between the two entities. if agreed upon, for a 16 to $18 million investment capital improvement project. I like that return on investment for myself and for our citizens. I think we could collaborate together, work together and possibly, move this project forward. A couple months ago, I had to fly into Ohio to see my brother. He was ill, and I went to the Columbus airport. And there was a sign that said, and it really stuck to me to the point that I took a picture of it. And it said, "Welcome to Columbus, one of the fastest growing U.S. cities whose leaders thrive on collaboration." So I'm here today hoping that we can collaborate, that we can work together. I'm not asking for your approval. This is a presentation today. Hoping that maybe you would at least consider putting it on your next agenda if you would be so kind. And I'm here to answer any questions. I don't know how I have all the answers. I'm still learning some of these things as we go forward, but I just would appreciate your consideration in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilkinson. Commissioner McCaskill, do you have any questions?
Well, she answered one. Thank you, first of all.
Yes.
It's a great presentation. One of the main things you answered, was about the safety. Thank you for, taking the lead on this as far as bringing it to us and presenting this to us. One of the questions was the maintenance cost, the difference in it, and you answered that already, and what you all were willing to share in this process. So it appears that it's $1,600 more. And it looks like you all will be willing to share $800 of that?
Yeah, so what the proposal would be, again, it would be contingent on board approval. I'd have to take it back to the board. Would be that we could split, come up with some kind of a maintenance agreement where we would split maybe potentially a 50-50 with the city if the city wanted to take the lead.
Commissioner Barr?
I've already met with them, got the presentation, and think it's a good project for the city as well as the county. And so I'm on board with it, but I just got one thing as it relates to the funding. They got a bigger budget than we have. They got a much bigger budget, so we want to see if we can carve out some more if we can.
Okay, well, that's what we do in negotiations. That's what collaboration's about, right?
No, all right. But yeah, I'm all for the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones?
Again, thank you, Ms. Wilkinson, for bringing that to us and the citizens of Palatka. With Commissioner Borum on the cost, the negotiation of not 50-50 because of the fact that you guys' budget is larger than ours. But I'm all on board for the project. I think it would look nice here. And as we're trying to move forward and be a progressive city, I think that'll be a great start when you come into Palatka, you see that bridge lit up.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
I too am for it. Again, I echo the sentiments of my fellow commissioners with regards to the budget. In our collaborations, I hope that one day we will be able to come around the table as two joint entities and have this conversation instead of having a spokesperson that would go back and forth, that we're able to come together and just have some conversation, some dialogue about concerns, about just anything with regards to this project. I'm hearing the senses thus far, we're all for it. But again, as we move forth with collaboration, let's do it as a joint entity.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, Commissioner. And I totally agree. As you know, I've only been in office for a year roughly, and I'm trying to bring a new perspective. And so collaboration with the city and with all of our local entities is one of the things that I would like to see us work on.
We appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
you.
Thank you.
Moving on to proclamations, Ms. Krantz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The first proclamation I'd like to present to the commission tonight is in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Roberta M. Correa, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, hereby proclaim January 15, 2024 as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in commemoration of a civil rights leader who dedicated his life to others. And we call upon our citizens to ask ourselves what Dr. King believed to be life's most urgent and persistent question. What are you doing for others? By lifting up our brothers and sisters through dedication and service, we honor Dr. King's memory and reaffirm our faith in our common humanity.
So move. So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
I am on for a few words, but I suppose that I do what I say in today as the president of the African American Cultural Arts Council for Putnam County. We are honored to be able to celebrate this not only as a city, but as a county. As we move forward and we move forward with the thing that we call synergy, we can get a whole lot more accomplished within our various communities. We don't see black, we don't see white, we see human race. And as we go forward to celebrate this upcoming weekend, we have a commemorative breakfast that is taking place on Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Family Life Center. Also, at that event, we will have honorees from the city of Palatka, as well as our local 4 high schools here in Putnam County. We would normally be hosting a MLK festival that takes place on the day of the MLK, which is Monday. However, due to the projected weather, we have gone ahead and took some necessary precautions to postpone that, and we will get back to you once we have secured the date in the future and it have gone through the proper approval of our commission. So as we say there is no days off when it comes down to fighting for the human race.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The second proclamation I would like to present to the commission today is that for Arbor Day. And we do have members of the City of Palatka Tree Committee joining us today to accept. Roberta M. Correa, Mayor of the City of Palatka, together with the members of the Palatka City Commission, do hereby proclaim January 19th, 2024 as Arbor Day in the City of Palatka. And we urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day by supporting efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you. We are a tree city. Mr. Perez, is there anybody else here from the tree committee? Okay, come on. Accept the proclamation.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Everybody ready to do this. We appreciate everyone's involvement in keeping Arbor Day a celebration for the betterment of our environment and some of our most important organisms on our planet, trees. We look forward to our celebration with St. John's River State College and doing our Arbor Day celebration, which is next Friday, the 19th, from 10 to about noon. So come join us for our celebration.
Thank you.
We now are in the spotlight, Employee of the Month, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. As we approach into year 3 of the City of Palatka doing the Employee Spotlight, it still amazes me, and it's such a privilege to see that we have either supervisors or peers still nominating employees for their outstanding performance in any given month. And this month, the City of Palatka would like to recognize Ms. Jill Kaiser.
We want to hear from Jill.
Well, I'm so excited. I know you don't know Jill, and you have not worked with her, but I have. And I'm excited because, Jill is the kind of person that makes you work harder than you would normally work. Even if you're extraordinary, she pushes you to another level, okay? And her reason is maybe she can't do any better, but the point is she has so much initiative. She's very reliable. Just read from here, kind of. Oh, okay. And I'm the one that wrote this, okay? She's cooperative. Her attendance, she never misses. I think she come in sick. It's embarrassing. But and this thing about professional skepticism, oh my God. Every little tiny inchy whiny thing, she has to evaluate it. Okay. I am so done. All right. Anyway, the main thing is that they made us give examples, and I like the fact that when I walk in, I look at so many things. Policies are one of the things I look at. And Jill is such a stickler. I mean, she knows exactly what's wrong with the policy, and she always have a recommendation how to make it better. She's never late. I don't think she know how to be late. I hate that. But and when we're reconciling bank reconciliations, she goes the extra mile. Sometimes she'll do it 3, 5 times just to find that 8 cents. But that's Jill. She never hesitate. Tonight, the reason why she's here, I made up sort of like a project that I told her she had to have done for the commissioners right now. And she had to stay late and do not explain anything to me. Just get this done. And she got it done. So chill. Oh, I can't stand her. Okay, let's talk about her some more and I'll stop. Okay, move it or whatever. But the point is, she doesn't just have a question. She comes with the answer and the solution. Oh my goodness. And even though I'll be honest, she has been consistently overworked, and you have, you know, and I've been nice and kind to you. And but she doesn't complain. Okay. I mean, she doesn't complain. Instead, she walks in and she'll say, well, la 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 and la 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 la. And I say, well, what do we do? And she says, well, I think we should do so and so. I like that because she's not just being critical, she's coming with a solution. So yeah, I love all of my people that work with me. They're great. I have a great team. But Jill is what we call our glue person. We all need her. We all go to her. I said that here. The most outstanding feature about Jill is the fact that she is the glue to most of the employees' concerns or problems, departmental questions, and she really serves as the city staff go-to resource expert, meaning the knowledge she gained by working at the city, she gives it back freely. Jill, I am so happy that I met you.
You want to say something?
You may leave now.
I know. I think,
Mr. Borman wanted to say something.
I think,
about
I think,
Jill.
I think Jill wanted to continue to, she got something else to do upstairs. But no, but I think that's just a testament of how leadership is here. They honor and recognize, but when we have people who really go above and beyond, and hers is just out in the universe. So my thing is we should try and develop some type of incentive that we can give to our people who are performing at those levels. And that's what I'm all about. I mean, just making sure that we take care of the people who take care of the city. And so me, my fellow commissioners and the mayor, let's look at and work with the city manager to make sure that we can put something together for these type of things that we show appreciation in those regards. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else have any further comments? Okay. Thank you again, Jill.
Thank you, Jill.
On to city manager administrative reports, fire department ISO, Chief Taylor.
Glad I don't have to follow that, chief.
Yeah, it's not easy to try follow Miss McCarty. So, so I just wanted to brief everyone on the ISO. We're very proud to continue having a 2, which only 2,000 fire departments in the United States have, out of about 39,000. All right. So this is not the right one. All right, guys. So I'll just talk about the ISO. That is not the right, that's the wrong presentation. So out of about 39,000 fire departments, there's only 2,004 that are an ISO 2. So we're in a very elite group and we're proud to be there. And through this process, what we found is that we have a lot of concrete benchmarks that we can now hit to make ourselves better. And what we're really looking at here is fixing our water system a little bit. And we've got a few things that we've identified and we're looking at those. And we've started a work group with Public Works to try and get to the bottom of those issues. And then if you look at the city fire department, I think it's in your breakdowns that you guys have. So we lost about 2 points for a ladder company because we don't have a true ladder company. We have a ladder truck with 2 guys on it. So we need to have 4 guys, according to ISO. We didn't have a reserve ladder truck, so we lost a quarter of a point there. The deployment, in other words, we're not fully staffed. So we lost 2 points on that. And our personnel in general, we need to be running about 12 people. So that would get us to where we need to go. But the ISO score could be an ISO 1 just by fixing the water system. So if we figure out what's going on with our hydrants and valves, we think we can catch that. And then we've put in USDA grants for our new trucks. So if those come through, that's going to help us on that point. Those 2 things right there would put us in the middle of an ISO 1. So we've got some work to do, but I think it's a good place to be in. And really what we're looking at is personnel and trucks. So we are still recruiting at the local colleges, the high school, and anywhere we can, any kind of job fairs. We have 3 people signed up on the scholarship. 1 is in school now. We have 3 more trying to get in April. And we have another certified firefighter testing next week. So we're moving on with that. And as far as apparatus, we identified some grant and funding opportunities, the USDA, which we've done. Those have been turned in. The AFG, when it comes open, we'll look for both personnel and apparatus if we have approval to do so. We can look at state appropriations, Better Place, general fund, and other loans if we need to go that far. So we need to add firefighters and inspectors. We lost just a fraction of a point for not having enough inspectors. It's something that we're still getting the inspections done, but it would help lessen that load and make it go a little easier. And then, like I said, the FD and the water department have started a working group to try and identify those problems. So we're working forward with that. So in closing, we're still a 2. That's a great place to be. We've got some concrete benchmarks we can work towards. And I just wanted to thank the fire department employees for all their hard work and helping us keep us there at that level. I'd like to thank the water department for all of their work that they do continuously throughout the year. I'd like to thank the fire chief emeritus Mike Lambert and Keith Grimes for getting us on this path and starting us down the ISO 2 path. And thank our citizens and business owners who help us with that as well. And I'd like to thank the commission for allowing us to have the funds to get our department where we're at now. And we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Take any questions you got.
Commissioner Barham, go ahead.
So the water pressure in the valves, so where are we as it relates to all of what we have, all of our fire hydrants?
Mhm.
And as it relates to the water line replacement in those areas, would that be something that would help?
It should, but we've identified, some of those places really did help. It increased the water system in some areas. But in other places, we had some things that were kind of anomalies. We didn't understand because they weren't like that before.
Oh.
And so we're thinking that either we've got a bad hydrant, we've got a bad valve, or we got some bad pipes. So we're trying to identify those. The good thing about the ISO is that they will continue to go back to those same locations.
Okay.
So we need to figure out what's going on with those locations. And
You
so
think you got all the resources and everything you need?
we think so. We're looking at some new tools for testing the hydrants and making sure our flows are right. And then we're also just going through the work group with them and testing hydrants and then sending them back to them and seeing if they can identify any anomalies so we can start to look. Is it a valve? Is it a pipe? And start digging into it a little deeper.
Yeah, we certainly need those things working because if we have a fire in those areas. we wanna make
Absolutely.
sure things-
Well, and this is not that we didn't have water.
Right.
It's just we didn't have enough. So
Right.
if they look at a building, they say this building needs 6,000 gallons.
Right.
We have to have at least 3,500. And so in some places we were 3,000. So it was just a little lower. We'd have 2,000. So it just depended on that particular area.
Sir,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else have any further questions of Chief Taylor? Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you to the fire department and all the staff. Update on St. John's Avenue construction, Mr. Griffith?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, in front of you, you should have this press release or graphic. This is a revision to one that was sent out a couple months ago that has been updated with new status and dates based upon the different sections and phases. There's a couple things of note that I wanted to point out here. The first is that the plans for the resurfacing from 4th Street to the railroad tracks on St. John's Avenue have been received. They're under review. We have transmitted to DOT. They are currently reviewing those plans. As soon as they are approved, we will immediately go to bid. So we're looking at a bid and a construction start date somewhere 3 to 4 months out. Obviously, we will time it to miss Blue Crab and any other festivals. So we'll keep you up to date on that as we progress through that review with DOT. Also, Mr. McMillan and his staff have been working with the FP&L subcontractor on that same section from 4th to the railroad tracks on the lighting. They have received all their material. They expect to mobilize in 2 weeks, and they'll be working in smaller segments. So there will be half-block sections that are de-energized and without lighting for a couple days, but they plan to limit the extent of that, and we will mobilize portable lighting if necessary. The county provided us notice that they are going to be starting construction on the section from Palm to Mosley. That is,
Oh, yeah.
yep, we can clap. I think everybody's happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
That's starting in March. Nope, excuse me. That's starting in February. And then based upon the progress of that resurfacing, they'll then start the section from Mosley to the railroad tracks, which is tentatively set for March. Yep.
Yes.
This is already on the website, and Mr. Willett has confirmed that it's gone out through social media. We're going to continue to try and get as much information out as possible on this. And I think we're working on having a public input session on the later phases with the downtown merchants and property owners regarding the sidewalks and landscaping. Any questions?
Any
No,
questions?
just, thank you for all the, putting this together. I mean, this is what we need to be able to answer some of the questions that come to us, while we're out in the community. And so we can just readily answer the questions, as it relates, as opposed to just not having anything to provide, say, well, hey, I got to check back in with the city, a project manager, city manager to say, hey, where we're at with that. This answers all the questions. We can get this out to the community in the various streams. So this is perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Willett.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Yes, I would like to add, this is great information. However, I think there's some missing, and I have questions of other projects like the Hank Bryan Park project. No updates in reference to that one. And I know this is labeled St. John's Avenue improvement, but could we get some updates on that Hank Bryan Park project that was in the works, as well as updates on the 13th, 14th Street, plus 15th. I know that, a lot of work have been completed on the south side of that, but I'm curious about the north side. Yeah. Where are we in the bid process on that? Or when the work is gonna begin?
So, Commissioner, we can bring that back or distribute ahead of the next meeting. Is there a preference to have it as a presentation, or would you just like to see a detailed update transmitted?
Well, I would like this, both.
Okay.
Due to the fact of, some of these projects, like especially in South, 7th and 8th Street, as I have driven by there numerous times, the scope of what I recall seemed like it's changed, and I know there have been some changes. And we mentioned about some of those, plans being, not to scale, but at least we'll know exactly the product gonna be when we get done. And, so going forward, definitely would like to see some of that added in.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell, anything? Thank you. We're gonna go on to the city, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner McCaskill.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. At one point, Mrs. Gano had given us an updated project sheet on where we were, where we are, like some completed projects. Do you remember that conversation piece we had? We met and you gave us an update on projects and project completion. We were in the green. It was like a
Right.
color sheet. Is that something that we can have again? You can
Oh,
add these
absolutely.
projects to that?
Yeah, I was distributing the project list with a summary, and then I had
Yeah.
some summarized, just overall metrics.
Yes.
Hold down.
Is that something that we can?
No, I don't
have
want to
that
touch
added
this.
to in-
I would be happy to distribute that again and get back on a regular,
Yeah.
monthly cadence of doing that going forward.
So, while you there, Mr. Kadim, like those projects on South 7th and 8th Street, will they continue across Reed, or do they have plans for that?
Not at this time. Those were the 700 block on St. John's Avenue. So that's what you saw, the work on the south side on 7th and 8th. So there is not a procurement effort that I'm aware of to do on across Reed Street on those.
So I know I asked for the project on Hank Bryan, and I know you brought it to us and we talked about the playground equipment. I just hadn't seen any movement. Can you just
Some of the
recap?
playground equipment has arrived. I don't know if the second set came in yet or not.
Speak to that if you like. Just this week, we've received the final delivery of equipment for the playground or the exercise equipment. So right now we're mobilizing to begin planning for installation and vendor quotes to install some of the concrete pads that are required for the foundations. But you should see action on that prior to the next agenda meeting. We'll have a report ready for you.
All right, really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner McCaskill? City manager search, Ms. Jones?
So, Madam Mayor, Commissioners, as per the direction of the 4 candidates that were selected to move forward, I have already, I think, issued information that only 3 responded. So we are basically, that's our interview and of 3 candidates. All of the information that I've received so far back as preliminary backgrounds and doing the preliminary stuff to get them ready seems in order. Everything is in order so far, and I've move forward with that. We do have a scheduled date. All of the candidates seem to be more into the week of the 22nd of January through the 26th. So the tentative date, which we have planned for, is January 26th, beginning with the interview process at noon. So I have one at noon, one at 1:30, and one at 3 o'clock, unless there's the wish of the commission that we change that date.
Commissioner Campbell?
I would make the recommendation, if possible, if we can push it back just a little bit later. I have something that is very important that was already scheduled, but I definitely don't want to miss this. If we can push it back another 30 minutes to an hour, I should be in the clear.
Okay. So we'd like to start them at 1 o'clock instead of noon.
If I may,
Yes, you may.
Madam Mayor, I would recommend the commission meeting begin 15 minutes prior to whenever the interview is scheduled to start, to allow time for call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, invocation, get through the preliminary stuff before the interviewee comes on board.
Okay, so what would we recommend the time be, or what do we suggest?
We can start it at, if we can start at 1, I should be in the clear and I should be here.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll reach out and make sure anybody that had scheduled for 12, I will make sure it starts at 1 o'clock and we'll move forward. And I'm allotting of hour 15 minutes per interview, if that's sufficient for
So they
commission.
will be in person, correct?
In person. Yes, sir.
Were you saying something, Commissioner Ball?
Yes, I'm just looking at my calendar and we said January 26th.
Mhm.
There's nothing on my calendar.
She just sent it out in the email.
Mm.
Okay.
We're just trying to
Yeah.
determine that now.
Yeah, I haven't sent the calendar invites yet. I want to confirm the times with the commission before I actually put the calendar invites in there.
Okay.
Okay, so the 26th at 1, which would actually, you're suggesting, Ms. Krantz, the meeting start at 12:45? In that case?
We could start at 1 and have the first candidate at
That's fine.
1:15.
That's fine, whatever. Well, yes, did you?
Okay. And just one more thing, the expense that's been allotted in previous for the traveling and the hotel accommodations are not to exceed per candidate of $1,500. So we will have that expense as well as we bring them in, since they're all coming from out of state.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, Commissioner Ball.
Just one question regarding, I don't know if Commissioner ever got the information around the remaining balance from the search firm as to what was the remaining balance left? Because it's all part of this interview process thing. I just want to know if that was,
If I recall correctly, it was somewhere in excess of the 10 grand was still remaining from the,
well,
yeah.
I like to really, get the number.
Have a
Whenever
number?
y'all get the number,
Okay.
instead of, we don't need
Thank
the
you.
guesswork, but just whatever the number is, we just want to know where that money is and how we're going to reapply it back to
Okay.
whatever we do going forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank-
so, thank you. So we're okay for the 26th,
Okay.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Jones did request an update from the Cultural Services Recreation Department on Jenkins. Is that correct?
Yeah.
If that's possible, I don't know if Mr. Cartwright heard me. Mr. Cartwright? Special request. If you want to come on up. Commissioner Jones has requested an update. Well, let him say it. It's better if it comes directly from him.
I'm update to,
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
You guys are, well, I know you guys recently moved over at Jackson Middle School gymnasium. So, and I know there's no programs going on just yet, and we're about to adopt a resolution on some of your requests. I'm just trying to see how has that move gone with you guys, what you need, and when do you expect to start receiving the public and doing the things that you guys plan to do?
that's a good question, Commissioner Jones. The building is coming along. Our staff has moved over there and kind of made it home now. We still have a lot of renovations that hasn't been done yet and still waiting on some timelines on a few. Today, I got information from Mr. Dale here that we will move forward with our access control issues for us securing the doors and making sure we can have people come in when they ring the doorbell. So that's a move forward step. We can't really start any kind of programs inside until they finish the AC units and the roof that they're working on. So when we get a timeline on that, I can give you better. But we do have a program that's going to start in April, in March. It's soccer. We're promoting that right now. So we're working on just trying to get things in place, calendars and everything. But until we can get a timeline with when they're going to start doing some work and renovations, I really can't put a timeline on when we can have the community to start coming into the building. We have been working with Dale, Mr. McMillan and his team at Public Works hand in hand on conversations, but until we can get some dates on when they're gonna start doing some work, I can't give you anything else, Commissioner.
Anybody else have any further questions? And
Well, I just got a comment. Basically, we've had those funds for a little over 2 years. We've been approved and once it was pulled back and now it's back out to bid and, things are trying to move forward. I'm just, we want to get some traction around that. We want to make sure that the funding that we have approved, that those dollars are out there working and is providing those, programming and resources that the community need. That community has been impacted for quite some time. And again, these are public dollars that's just sitting right now, and we want to put them to work. We got some elderly people, young people. We got people who just are looking for things to do in that area. So my question is there anything that is possible in the gym area? In the gym area, or can any activity occur?
But right now, we still have an active leak in the roof in the gym, so that's actually limiting us to do anything on the floor. And right now, if you've been in there, the floor has a major film type feeling where it's slippery because of the active leak. And until we can secure the roof to make it secure, we can't even do anything to the floor. So right now, we really can't have any active programs in there that'll be safe.
Oh, excuse me, please, Mr. Beth.
Just,
Yes.
okay, so I know I had visited the area, sent the pictures and all, but the thing with that is, we need to just do whatever we can and put together some action around that, because it's only getting worse.
Yes, I do agree with you.
Commissioner Campbell?
I'm in agreement. However, I do understand, if I'm correct, that we are under a memorandum of understanding with regards to that building to where we can only use it or we can't allow certain things to go on until certain things are actually corrected. So I want to make sure that that's
Yes.
the complete understanding. Of course, we want programs, but we want safety as a component as well. But I know we were under a memorandum of understanding as to what programming or what we could or could not do.
Yes, we have a 250 threshold that we can have in the building as right now, up under what the conditions is in. But like I said, any program that we can run, we won't be able to run until we get the roof fixed, the AC unit fixed. Those things is really hindering us from utilizing the gym. Now, the community service room, we can use that, and we also have scheduled a couple of events in that room as we speak now. But the gymnasium cannot be used until we get those situations figured out.
Mr. Griffith?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll put this down. Never had to do that
I
before.
did see you.
So I do want to clear something up for the record. The city of Palatka does not receive advance grant funding. Historically, in my tenure, we have never received funding outside of ARPA in advance. We are working as fast, I say we, Mr. Cutright, Mr. McMillan, Ms. Gano, Ms. Baggs, everybody who's collectively working on this project is working to get the necessary approvals from multiple agencies, including the granting agency. So even on your agenda tonight, under consent agenda, where you're approving 2 large scope of work items related to this is contingent on the Department of State actually approving that scope of work. So we play a game of hurry up and wait every single day. I want the commissioners to know that your staff is hustling on this. There's people in Tallahassee that are consistently being changed and being reassigned to positions, and we're waiting for approval on things consistently. So I just don't want the public or you to leave with the impression that anybody is dragging their feet on this locally.
I think it's important for the community to know too, that grant funding does not arrive once the grant is awarded, that it is that process that you just described, and we just don't have this money sitting here. Commissioner Borum?
Yes, I understand that, but what we do have ARPA funds still that we have not used. Those funds could be used toward those 2 things. It's air conditioner and a roof. We got a lot of people locally here we probably got some people who service ACs in here. Probably got people who does roofs in here. We got a lot of people, local people that does this type of work. So, and then we do have ARPA funds. So let's use what we currently have, and we can replace those funds when those other funds come in. That's just my suggestion.
Do you want to say something, Mr. Griffith?
Yeah, we cannot shuffle back and forth on what we're going to use our match for and what we're going to use for grant reimbursement. And the other factor to consider here, this is very complicated because if you would look, and it's one of your agenda items, it's 6C, 6B. There is a detailed project budget and it outlines the original grant fund budget, the city match, the quoted cost. And if you look at the two major items at the top, the big issue is you started with a budget of 183,000 for a roof over, and then we found out that the quote came in at $500,000. So there was a period of time there where we're getting approval from the Department of State to reduce the scope, which is a change in the grant agreement, and also try and get it within budget, which Mr. McMillan was working with multiple contractors and quotes and multiple solicitations. So we could spend the money, which we are proposing to do that for the roof repair, and I think a portion of it is for HVAC replacement. But we're still going to be waiting on the Department of State on everything else in that description there.
And if I understand, we had this conversation with regards to moving forth either with opera monies or moving forth with the grant funding. We had an extensive conversation. So we as a commission made that decision.
Yeah.
So to my,
Sorry,
ahead.
I just want to say we want to get it done just as fast as anybody else.
All right.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones.
so to my point, that's why I asked for the update. So it's clear that we didn't have that. That's why it's important to continue to update on these projects. So these questions won't be asked. Community asked us, so we have to put you on the spot. So it's not a jug. It's to get answers, so information. All right. Thank you.
If
for
I
all
could
that
add
information.
one statement. Right now, we are just, tonight you have one item of the three that would be required for occupancy. We're in negotiations for the other two, just trying to make the budget tame. We're just trying to fit everything with what we have.
One other just a question or a request. Can we continue to leave those things on the agenda for updates as for every meeting so that we do have update and it don't fall off? We're want to really create an action register. I think we need to create an action register as things come up that a lot of times it get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
We deal with a lot of different things. And we'll say things up here and sometime it might get missed. And so I think if we just create an action register until those things get completed, they don't come off the action register and we can just move them over to complete it. And then those are the kind of things that we can show the community, hey, look at what we've done to this date as it relates to projects, as it relates to the city, no different than the St. John's project and everything else. So that's just a request.
And to add to that, Commissioner Barnwell, it's funny you said that. I was creating a presentation to kind of present to y'all next commissioner meeting to talk about the progress and stuff with Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
So we will make sure every commissioner meeting you have update, and we'll probably do city manager Griffin's weekly update. We'll probably add some updates in that too.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else on this topic? Okay, thank you. At that, we're going to open up the floor to public comments. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Please give your name and address for the record, and no action will be taken at this time on those items. Mr. Best.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zenny Best. I live at 200 Hayes Drive, Interlachen, Florida. I live with the mental illness. In our country here, we have what they call international clubhouses. As I spoke about many a times, we don't have one here. The clubhouses saves me in what I have, which brought me to Florida. The systems are here. The Stewart Marchman Agency does what Stewart Marchman wants to do, and if they're not making money, they don't want to do anything. We had the Shine organization in our county here. They disappeared. We need an international clubhouse here. I have done the work. I know where they are. I know who to contact. Please give us what we need if you have a mental illness. If you have a mental illness, it gets us out of the house. It gives us something to do. It houses us. It furnishes us. It shows us what we're entitled to and not entitled to. It gives us health benefits. It gives us housing, food, medication and everything else. And then everything, they cut down on what we pay to average people. They cut Medicare cuts, if you pay $10 for something, you may pay $8 for it through the Medicare systems that they have developed. But we don't use it because it's not here. We go, the closest one to us is in Gainesville. When I started this 11, 12 years ago, there were 2 clubhouses in Florida. Now there are 13, and we still don't have one. There are people in the street, standing out in the street with no place to live. Some people live in the woods. One of the clubhouse directors says, I lived in the woods. In our generation, if you live in the woods, you're doing something wrong. I raised my kids in the woods. I don't want to hear that. You did something wrong. Help yourself. If the services are here, use them. We have services that are not being used. People stand in the street with cups for money. You hit them with your car, you have to pay. Not them, but they stand in there with cups of money. We have places for you to go that structure your life. If you have a certain problem, they will put you in a place where you're comfortable. They'll give you coffee, give you food, and they'll say, what's your problem? Or what's going on? How can we help you? And that's how it starts. You don't have to live in the street. You don't have to sleep in the park. You don't have to sleep in your car. You have to take medication if you're mentally ill, like I am. I was diagnosed 26 years ago. I am mentally ill and I take the medication every day. Sometimes you speak to people in authority, you have to ask them, did you take your medication? All right, but yeah, God bless us, the children, every 1 out of every 9 children is going to have a mental health effect at the rate we're going now. Let's help them if nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Betts. Mr. Green?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Tim Green, 114 South 3rd Street. I'm here to request that an emergency motion be called to compel Planning Director, Ms. Lisa Walsh, to provide documentary evidence substantiating the validity of her recommendation and statements made during hearings, including those made under oath regarding a recommendation for approval of application HP 2318, an application for a large chain link fence around the historic 200 South 7th Street property in South Historic District. My public records request has been submitted to City Attorney Ms. Jane West, but since the deadline for me to submit an appeal is January 19th, I ask that you compel Ms. Walsh to produce these documents by the 15th, so I have adequate time to review them. I made similar requests for documents from the Historic Preservation Board and request similar action from the Commission. I understand that the sentiment expressed by the Commissioner in the last appeal was that the matter be resolved with the Historic Preservation Board. I assure you that was my desire too. To quote Commissioner Borum's motion, he asked, quote, the Historic Board to look and make sure what's presented is in compliance with city code, municipal code, end quote. The Commission then ruled unanimously that HB 2318 violated municipal code. The HPB held another hearing January 4th. Ms. Walsh and the applicant John Vanderworth of TP Schoolhouse presented the exact same application without a single change to the design, materials, setback, or landscaping. In other words, Commissioners, Ms. Walsh, Mr. Vanderworth ignored your ruling. The HPB, the HPB was aware that the application was ruled in violation, and given there was no changes, the application should have been denied immediately. That did not happen. What took place was a veritable mutiny. Acting on behalf of the applicant rather than as an impartial pseudo-judiciary board, the HPB offered their own unsubstantiated opinions and anecdotes as evidence and distorted the meaning and intent of the guidelines for preservation. The HPB voted unanimously to approve the original non-compliant fence with only one inconsequential modification to include minor landscaping to the interior. This is not the function of a historic preservation board. Before filing another appeal, I'd like the opportunity to examine any factual and legal explanation in hopes of avoiding another appeal. The deadline is January 19th. Please call for an emergency motion to compel Ms. Walsh and the HPB to provide the documents by January 15th. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. West or Ms. Walsh, we're not really going to answer any of these things now, so we will look into it further.
I
Miss-
will address it during staff comment,
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Spell?
Jacob Spell, 5019 Krill Avenue, Palatka, 32177. I have a question for the board, and you stop my minutes because I'm asking you something and I'm not speaking, okay? I need to get some info on this project that you're gonna put up on the river. I need to know a little history and a little background on it.
We aren't here to really answer or take
I
action.
can't understand you.
I said, we're not, and I didn't quite hear all of your question, to be honest with it. Could you reiterate it, please?
Yes, I'll give you one.
Well, can we go ahead and address that, Mr. Spell, during this time, even if you stop, we don't address anything until it gets to staff and gets to staff response. So you can access questions, but until your 3 minutes are up, we won't be able to address you.
But, okay, but I need to speak in regards to whatever information you give me on the tail end of the sign. So when do I do that?
You just need to at least present to us what you want to present, and we can answer it. We will try to do that at the appropriate time.
Okay, I've already presented it to you now. When am I gonna get my answer?
What project are you referring to?
This-
Business, hey.
This thing that you're gonna wanna put up on the down by the river.
Oh, the lights, are you talking?
No, no lights, no.
The item actually, one for number 8,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
It's like number 8.
We haven't heard the, I don't
We
think,
haven't
we have
heard
not
the
heard the
presentation.
presentation yet. The presentation haven't been put forth to us to be even make any ruling yet. So
Right, we don't even have, we can't answer you at this time.
But then
because we
why
don't
is it
know.
on the agenda
That's
then?
gonna be in a few
Yes,
minutes.
but it's not, no, we haven't heard it yet. It's coming
Oh,
up. and
okay,
it's
so
coming up.
what you're saying that I'll get my information in a few minutes?
Well, yes, we're going to hear the presentation and we'll go from there.
Yes,
But-
because I have a rebuttal on whatever answer you give me on the background of the sign.
Okay.
Am I making myself clear?
So how about we do this? I think he's not here for public comment. I think he's here for a specific agenda item. And so that's where we need to just go ahead and give him the opportunity to speak during the public comment of that portion, which is option number 8, item number 8, Mr. Spell.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Askew Vickers? Okay.
Good evening to all of you. Askew Vickers, 207 North 18th Street, Palatka, 2077. I'm here to to talk about something, but I want you to first understand one thing. I'm not criticizing anything you do. I'm saying about what is expected of you to do that you're not doing. Because the job didn't come looking for you. You came for this job and you presented yourself in a way that the community selected you to have this job. We look for you to do great, not good. You're doing a good job, but not a great job. You have all of you have the position, the time, and the ability to serve your community with responsibility and courage. Those things are expected of you. All of you have that right now. You're doing a good job, but I expect, and we expect you to do better. And I would love to see Mr. Rufus Bourne and all of you get together and start something that you were not doing, having town hall meetings, so we can get down to the root of all the problems that we have as a bundle of issues that need to be addressed. And no one can do this in even a day or two talking about what's wrong here. But if we have town hall meetings, Mr. Rufus said that he had one, but I don't know why he quit. You see, quitters never win and winners never quit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hafner?
Jerry Hafner, 122 Hilty Lane in East Palatka. I heard there was going to be a discussion or a presentation of the bridge lighting project tonight, so I had to come. I can't pass those kinds of things up. I do want to thank Commissioner Wilkinson for what I thought was a superb presentation. I think she provided a lot of the information on what DOT is willing to do and what kind of cost the county and city might incur. All I can say is I think it's an extremely exciting project. I think the benefits to both the county and city are tremendous. The rewards that we will receive, I think, are beyond comprehension. So I would strongly support and urge each of you commissioners when the time comes to assist in moving this project forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lybel Crowe?
I like to speak. Okay. Okay. Right over here. You're gonna take, I'll take your jacket for you. Okay. If you want. Go ahead. Thank you.
Come here. Just a little bit over.
This way.
Here's the mic. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Not beside you.
Okay, one thing, I am Darlene Lybel Crowe, and I am deafblind. I was not re-identified that until 2011 at the age of 50. It has been a very long journey, but I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to talk about Ride Solutions. Ride Solutions is a valuable resource in our county, in our city. It needs to be funded. It needs to have a lot of things to happen so that it can prosper and help the citizens of this county. And I'm going to use my experience. Over the past year, I have used Ride Solutions to go to the doctor, to medical appointment, to the gym, to get my hair cut, and even to meetings like the Lions Club. But now it has been reduced to just medical appointments only. So I have lost the ability to go to the gym, which was my stress reliever. I have to find someone to take me to get my hair cut, and Kathy's my solace, and she came and got me. So, and the Lions Club meetings, it's really hard for me to get to it. But I know I'm not alone. There are many in our county, in our city, that are elderly, disabled, unemployed, do not have transportation. So they are being isolated.
They're all real, right?
They are being
It's really-
isolated to the point that it's going to affect the mental health, the emotional health, and then the physical health. So by not providing transportation for our citizens, it shouldn't be. So I am asking the city to invest in your people. Invest in them by providing funding for Ride Solutions or any other transportation mode. And also help Ride Solutions to be able to find some funding. And I have thought of a lot of resolutions. One of the things that Ride Solutions should do is raise their rate, but do rates for certain things. And also, they are only focused on Medicaid, so they should be focused on Medicare, health insurance, because these are providing transportation.
Your time is
Finish up.
up.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry.
Finish up, that's
But
okay.
anyway, that's what I said.
No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Alexander?
Jeremy Alexander, 134 Timber Lane. I was going to speak to what I was surprised to hear tonight, but Mr. Hafner already spoke to that a little bit. Just wanted to talk about that as a huge project for the county and the city of Palatka. I also wanted to speak to the good news I heard about St. John's Avenue. I cannot express how important that is to our community. It's a highly visible project, and to hear that the county and the city are committed to starting that project in the very near future is, I don't know, I'm just excited, beyond excited about seeing that come to a close. But I don't think either one of those two projects overshadows what I heard tonight that really warms my heart. And that's the passion of this commission and the passion of that commission. And unfortunately, it's been this and that for a long time. And what I heard was from everybody on the city commission, the same thing of what I heard from Mrs. Wilkinson, and that is the commitment to the collaboration as we move forward, moving together. And that honestly warms my heart. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We don't need to. Ms. Grace?
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. I wanted to say thank you very much for the City of Palatka Arbor Day proclamation. I know Julio Perez was here to receive it, and we're very excited to continue. We kind of lead the area with having had it established for so long and continuing to do so, and partnering with the our state, St. John's River State College, so that they're able to achieve their campus, Tree Campus USA as well. So it's a great partnership there. I wanted to share the inspirational poem that we had, since it'll be during the daytime when we do our event. It's Prayer of the Woods. It's fairly short. I am the heat of your heart on the hearth on the cold winter nights. Okay, we have 4. The friendly shade screening you from the summer sun, and my fruits are refreshing draughts quenching your thirst as you journey on. I am the beam that holds your house, the board of your table, the bed in which you lie, and the timber that builds your boat. I am the handle of your hoe, the door of your homestead, the wood of your cradle, and the shell of your coffin. I am the bread of your kindness and the flower of your beauty. You who pass by, listen to my prayer, harm me not. And I think we're not just doing the harm me not, but increasing and providing a greater benefit by being a Tree City USA and celebrating Arbor Day. Thank you. I also wanted to note that the spring is coming and the Great American Cleanup. Yes, I want litter picked up as well. We did have a downtown cleanup with the mayor in December on the 9th. That was a lot of fun. And we hope to continue those coming up in the next couple of months. I know it's going to be busy, but we've got a lot of able workers, and we anticipate a lot of fun in Clean City.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we will move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. West.
To specifically address the public comment made by Mr. Green at the last Historic Preservation Board meeting, the board made 15 findings of fact that took into consideration multiple relevant laws, codes, and guidelines at both the local, state, and federal level. These included criteria in our own code, section 54-79, the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, Florida Department of Children and Families child care facility requirements, and the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Commission, Florida State requirements for educational facilities regarding security. We went through this line by line by line. I made sure that we had every single question that was relevant for all of those regulations before the Historic Preservation Board. They went through it. They made the decision based on their experience. This is why you appoint your boards, because you depend on them for their experience and their expertise. And they made the decision that the proposal submitted by the applicant for Little Sprouts for the fencing was compliant with all of those regulations. Now, we may agree or disagree with their ultimate findings, and one is certainly able to bring an appeal, but the fact of the matter is that the HPB did a very thorough job with their findings of fact and found that they met all of the criteria. And as such, we need to defer to them as an agency. You've given a lot of latitude here with a remand, and a motion for reconsideration on this particular appeal. And I believe we have now dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's, and we have very solid findings of fact. In terms of the public records request, I just received it the other day. There are no additional responsive documents beyond what is in the staff report. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of Ms. West? Thank you.
I have a statement.
Okay.
Hold it.
Go
Not
ahead.
that. And I hate that it's come back before us again, because Commissioner Borum actually directed it back to that committee. However, on the legal side, you gave us an opinion. And I want to know directly from me at this point. I hate that it's put me on the spot. Legally, our first vote, when it came back here, the opinion was, your opinion was what?
My concern that it was potentially not legally defensible if it went to circuit court, because the finding of fact was based on one finding, and that was the safety of the children, period. No other consideration was taken into effect as I enumerated in the 15 findings of fact before the HPB.
So, I want to say this, I want to be on record saying it. So before something comes up like that again, I would request that thoroughly do our due diligence, so we won't look like it's us versus them, because that's what it looks like, or we are shunning our responsibility. Okay. And I wanted to say that publicly, it's not a lashing, but it didn't look good. And Commissioner Borum did catch it. That's a good catch. And I didn't like that feeling of the position we were put in. Whichever way it went, we wanted to do it the right thing. And the Historic Preservation Board also had its own guidelines that what it appeared to be was deviated from. And then the guidelines that you gave us. So I just want to make that clear to people who have seen it looked as if we were shunning our responsibility up here on this diet.
So if I may, there were issues at play here that were well beyond the expertise of your board, your volunteer board of Historic Preservation Board, because they involved the Florida Department of Children and Family Services child care facility requirements. Your board members aren't familiar with that. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School Public Safety Commission guidelines. This board is not familiar with those guidelines. And so they were definitely out of their wheelhouse, which is why it was a helpful exercise to go back in a very detailed manner to have robust findings of fact. But I hear you loud and clear, Commissioner Jones, and we are going to work to make these findings of fact checklist. I've spoken with the chair of HPB to have it a regular routine at all HPB meetings going forward.
Thank you. Anything else?
So my question is that you're good from a legal standpoint that, the city would not be impacted if there was an appeal.
Yeah, no lawyer's ever gonna tell you you're 100% in the clear.
Okay.
I cannot give you that guarantee, but I feel a lot more comfortable now that we have robust findings of fact. If there were to be an appeal, I would be a lot more comfortable defending the city's position than I otherwise was. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to at least proceed with a robust case.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Because I know you can't be 100%, but, I like to be like like 90, 98, 99. I just don't want the city to be in a position to where we're paying out money when we don't have to. Our taxpayers, they're already hit with a number of things among, taxes, services and all these things. So to add that onto it is not good, especially in our community.
Anybody else? Are there any other commission staff responses to public comment? Okay, with that said, or not said, we'll go on to the consent agenda. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda?
I'd like to hear about item E, H. I think we already took care of B, E and H.
B and H, is there anybody else that wants any items pulled from the consent agenda? Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda excluding items E and H for discussion.
Second.
the motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. So we're going to B. Ms. Krantz?
Madam Mayor, did you just say G? I thought the motion was E.
I thought I said B.
It was E.
It was E like Echo.
It was D. Okay, sorry.
No, E.
Okay, I heard E, I heard two things, so, okay, E and
That's
H, okay.
resolution 2024 R04. A resolution of the city of Palatka authorizing the execution and delivery of a tax exempt lease purchase agreement with the Beard Equipment Company and the John Deere Financial Incorporated for turf maintenance equipment for the Palatka Golf Club in the amount of $314,889.64. Authorizing the execution of such other documents as may be necessary to complete the transaction complemented thereby, providing an effective date and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you, Ms. Cotty.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. In regards to this agreement, it is something that comes annually, that happens annually. We did an extensive search on what had been done in prior years. We did look at the inventory list from prior years, and then we looked at what was being purchased for this year. And the budget did include an amount of about 78,000 for the year. So therefore, this expenditure is within the guidance of the budget. And also the agreement that said what inventory was going to be secured on an annual basis.
Well, one question. Go ahead, sir. No, I defer.
No, you did first. Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Campbell, please. Yeah, let's go in order, please.
I didn't have any reservations
Okay.
with this.
Well, this equipment is $314,889.64. To lease, we're gonna pay that much to lease that?
I believe it's capital. At the end of the 5-year period, we will own it. It's a lease purchase agreement.
Okay, I just wanna make it
Yes, sir.
clear because I was like, well, how much does it cost to purchase it?
Exactly. So yes, we will own this property, this equipment rather.
Are we surplusing what we have now to recoup anything? City manager?
So Mr. Hertz and I haven't had a conversation about if he has anything identified for surplus. Annually, he along with other departments propose things, but I can follow up with him to see what items he's going to propose for surplus this coming year.
I definitely would like to know that. so that we see if we're recouping anything,
I can
we-
tell
that we
you,
pay for.
based upon past experiences with the golf course equipment that gets surplused, it's,
Usually
it's,
pretty
it's
rough.
no good, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty
Yeah, we don't get much for it
Rough on
in
the
simple
Well,
terms.
well, this, you know, when we bought those golf carts, I mentioned that there were some that could have went to the airport or to community affairs. I don't think that happened last time, but if there are any salvageable pieces of equipment, when we're making any kind of purchase, I just think it would be a good practice to try to use them elsewhere throughout the city. That's just my thought.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Commissioner Barham?
Is this, does it fell into the maintenance replacement schedule?
When I looked at the list of it, yes, because this equipment is primarily for the maintenance of the golf course and so forth. I read it and I would say yes, but I can defer.
Right, but I'm saying what we were presented with during the budgeting time period, this wasn't part of some of the equipment. I know the police and fire and other departments had equipment that was projected to be in this budget. I don't know if this was projected.
It is actually in the budget. Yes, sir. Before I even put it here, I made certain of that. It is in Fund 042. The amount is about 78,000 for the year. And this does fall within, when I calculated, it was like 72,000 for this expenditure. So it was in the budget.
Okay, I just
Maybe
wanna
they
be-
didn't
I wanna be
present
clear.
it, but
I-
it was
I
there.
do know that there were some other big items that were in there, and this happened to be one of those small ones that I missed, and I apologize for that. But just, yeah, do make sure that we clarify that language. It's just say lease purchase. I see lease purchase and that's good.
Mhm.
All right, so, and our airport debt should be paid off, right?
It was for the airport.
So we should have a little bit of surplus, so we just gonna add more to it. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a double second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Thank you. On to H, Ms. Krantz.
Item H is resolution 2024-R07. A resolution of the city of Palatka, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute a Florida Commerce Grant Agreement HL 209 for the Palatka Affordable Housing Initiative Project and providing for scrivener's errors.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones, did you have a question about this?
Would like somebody to talk about it.
Commissioners, what you have before you is the actual grant agreement with the Department of Commerce. We've been working for some time to try and get this in our hands. It is for $2 million. You may recall that you set aside another 400 plus thousand in ARPA funds related to affordable housing. Related to this effort, we did receive, I believe, you were given an update at the last meeting that we expected to receive submittals for administering at least one component of the scope of work that's detailed in this grant agreement on page 303 of your agenda. And an evaluation committee consisting of myself, Ms. Walsh, and Ms. Gano met this week, and we're scheduling interviews of the respondents so that we can make a recommendation to you for acceptance at the February meeting.
Thank you. Any additional questions?
So what would they actually be doing? The agents that's gonna come in and administer this, what are we actually looking for them to do?
That's a very good question, Commissioner. Right now, we're focused on securing somebody that can help with only one item identified in the scope of work, which is affordable housing repair program. Once we bring that forward, we will be asking the commission to consider an allocation of that 2.4 million for that element of the scope of work. There are three other areas, which is development of affordable housing, retention of affordable housing, and that's where that repair program falls under, preparation of land for development, and construction of affordable housing. The way this was crafted was to afford the city the maximum amount of latitude. So we have the ability to kind of scale up or down based upon the demand and the needs in the community.
They use the term affordable housing, and I've heard other communities having trouble with what's affordable. Hadn't been defined yet. And that's something I think that we as commission need to actually have a deeper dive and look at what's actually affordable for this community, because it's not gonna be cookie cutter to St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Green Cove, what have you. So with that being said, and I understand that, I just think a member of this board need to also be included in when we're talking about administering this and what the scope really is gonna be. I really do. I don't know about the rest of the commission, but that's important to us to make sure that we're helping the people that really need it. And that's almost everybody, I'm sure, but that's still a big sliding scale of affordability and what folk can afford. We're talking about workforce housing with people who have jobs, and I think it's a program in reference to professionals like law enforcement officers, teachers, stuff like that. That's one program. Then you have the group of folk that have challenges getting approved for housing. So I think that's an important element that we need to identify to know who we're going to help. And thirdly, an agency like the Housing Authority, I would like to see them have a seat at the table, because that's what they deal with. If we have a housing authority, we don't include them, they're having problems getting people from assisted, what's it called, low income, and have probably gotten a job, steady income, or home dynamics change, and they want to move into home ownership. So I know that's a lot, but that's why I said I think that we should also have these entities, Housing Authority, as well as someone from this board, sit down when we're discussing what we're gonna do.
Very briefly to the first part of your comment, affordable housing is statutorily defined in Florida as no more than 30% of a household's income in rent or mortgage payment. So it can be adjusted according to the specific region.
Oh, right, but you know where our region fits into that? You know,
30% of that.
the cost of a house, could eliminate a lot of people from being in the 30 percentile of what they make. They won't be able to afford the house.
Well,
You understand?
Commissioner, and there's other commissioners that want to speak, but I can't address that as well. HUD uses a standard where they actually look at the income levels. And part of this program is to help subsidize that to make housing attainable. And that's why it was crafted to be, property acquisition, construction, renovation. So that is the intent, and we are expecting to bring you along in the development of the program. The program that was included in the RFP was specifically stated as a draft, just so that they would have some idea of intent. And we spelled out in there that it was expected that whomever was selected was going to work with staff and the commission to finalize the final program documents. And Ms. Gano, who was it that was in attendance from the Housing Authority?
We had Miss Willa Mae Thomas.
Great,
as
good resource. Yeah, I just want to make certain that we put it out there to include them. I just think it's important.
Yeah, and that was stated previously when you gave us the breakdown of the committee. So, okay. Go ahead, Commissioner Campbell.
Yeah, I was just gonna make sure that it's understandable that just the approval of this will still allow us the opportunity to come back and provide the scope of how we want it to proceed.
Right.
Even though we've already made mention previously of and had this conversation, I just want to make sure that as we move forward tonight, that no decisions will be made, and this will come back to us allow us to dig a little bit deeper into how the scope is going to be put out.
Commissioner Gorman.
Yes, and we just have to just keep in mind again, I do know that the city of Palatka is about 37% medium household income is only like what 37,000, and that's below poverty level for the household. And so when we have prices that increase to the degree that they have, we have, again, we can look back at the Public Works building when we initially did that 1.5 to 2 million. And then it came back to 7 million and then we dropped it to 3 million. So that's just saying that all of the added costs as is associated with the cost inflation for people who are getting houses. We have a number of things on our plate coming forward as it relates to either other bills that's impacted with the additional $25,000 that's going to be potentially added to homesteaded properties. Moving from 50,000 to 75,000, it's going to impact the city of Palatka. It's going to impact the county. It's going to impact the state. That's just, that's going to impact the state because it's in legislation right now. And so, there's not a single person in here probably not going to vote for that particular thing. So we need to take all of these things in consideration as it relates to affordable housing. All it takes is just a couple, $2,000 or $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and that could put people, even renters, because renters is going to be impacted by this bill as well. So what's affordable to people and what people may think that they can afford as a renter, they sometimes might not even get to be a homeowner. So we want to keep all those things in mind.
Thank you, Commissioner McCaskill. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you.
Mayor, Mr. Just, I'll bring it up later.
Okay,
Because Commissioner Jones didn't vote.
but we had for,
Well, yeah, we have a quorum, but I'll get to it later. I'll speak to the attorney, but he wouldn't need to leave. He would have to vote. He can't be, he won't be excused from the
can you
voting. piece.
speak, can you just
No,
speak to
I've
that?
been excluded.
Well, based on the ethics, my ethics training I learned this year, people are not, if you're, he has to vote.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
oh, that's true. Yes, I'm sorry.
Well-
I wasn't understanding what you were saying.
well,
No,
we need to have a conversation.
If he's in attendance.
We have to have a conversation.
So
back.
he's coming back.
We're gonna have to have a conversation. I've been excluded. from
Yes.
this, and I'm-
While in attendance?
Yes, ma'am. In the bathroom. Yes, ma'am. It does.
And again, not to have it tonight, but just as we move forward, as a purpose of housekeeping, to make sure that in the event that we are in the middle of a presentation that would calls for a vote, that we abstain from having a vote until all are present. And we may even want to have the conversation, because we know we sit here from a certain time and a certain time, and we don't have any type of breaks. So that may be something that we take in consideration, having a 5-minute recess to allow us to go do what it is that we have to do.
Can we have a roll call for clarity, please?
Please.
Just to recap the motion, on the floor, there's a motion to approve by Commissioner McCaskill, a second by Commissioner Campbell. Roll call vote is as follows: Commissioner Tammy McCaskill,
Here,
Commissioner Will Jones,
we're doing a roll call.
No, you're voting. roll
it's a
call, right?
voting roll call.
Yeah, say yay or
Oh,
nay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We're good. Keep going.
Go.
Okay.
She said here.
And that's right.
She just said yay.
Yeah. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, she corrected that to yeah. Let's go on.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Justin Campbell,
Yes.
Commissioner Rufus Borum,
Hey,
Mayor Robbie Correa.
Yes,
Motion passed unanimously.
thank you.
We'll
Regu-
try and clean that up in the future. Maybe if we know we're gonna have a long meeting, take a break. And if somebody excuses himself, I don't mind talking a little bit longer.
Like right now, I'm sorry. Once we get done with the consent agenda, before we go into the next part, can we take a little break? 'Cause-
Sure.
So before we go. into
Break,
regular
5-minute break? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Be back in 5 minutes though, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is item number 11, not item 11, but resolution 11. A resolution of the city of Palatka supporting Ride Solution Inc.'s request for appropriation funding for Ride Solution Inc.'s rural transit services, providing for scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date. Any discussion questions? Mr. Thompson is in the audience. Is there any more information?
I thought, don't we hear from somebody first? Or-
No, this is a.
No. Okay. Right now. Can we hear from him?
We can.
Yeah. Like, give a brief synopsis and have it, on the city's, recorded?
Okay, my phone needs to be turned on. It is not? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Thompson. Give us your name, please, and address.
Boyd Thompson, Ride Solution, 220 North 11th Street.
No, well, some of the people in the audience don't know what his challenges are, so I think it'll be kind of prudent for him to kind of give us just a high level summary of what you're asking for, what you need, and how we can potentially help you.
Sure. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, first I'd like to thank you guys for the time you spent with our board a couple of weeks ago and for this resolution that's before you now. Ride Solution in 2019 stopped doing Medicaid transportation after 5 years under Medicaid reform with no rate increases and steadily increasing billing hurdles. That was a $450,000 reduction in our revenue budget. In 2020 and 21, we saw a further $300,000 reduction in MedWaiver funding from ARC, and that was about a 30,000 trip reduction. In 2020, FDA started rolling in the 100% 5311 funding, and that basically offset the losses that we'd seen under Medicaid and MedWaiver. This last year in 23, the end of those funds occurred in May. And we were then back to 50% 5311 funding and a resulting loss of about $60,000 to $70,000 a month. We had seen that coming back in December of 22, had been working with FDOT to see if additional funds could be secured to continue the in-county routes, and realized in November that that was not going to occur, and therefore had to really kind of slam on the brakes to stop the in-county flex routes December 1. First 3 weeks of December 23 saw a 78% reduction in general public trips within the city of Palatka, and about a 70% reduction out in the county, Crescent City and Interlochen. Overall reduction has been about 36%. And this has affected most of the 2,000 plus people that we serve in Putnam County and City of Palatka. We have a legislative initiative going on in this session, being led by Representative Bobby Payne. And this is a Medicaid reform rolled out in 2014. It affected the rural transit properties in Florida in a way that it didn't affect the urban transit properties. In the first few years of Medicaid reform, about 30%, about a third of the rural counties lost their longtime community transportation coordinators, and those were replaced by private sector coordinators. So it's not a situation that's unique to Putnam County. We were simply one of the counties that held on the longest. Our lobbyist had a good conversation with the governor's office this week. We are hopeful that the initiative to secure funding for rural transit will make it through the session.
Thanks, sir.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
I think you answered it on social media, so you might, is that what you're gonna talk about? I'll ask it. Mr. Tuttle, could you just, for the record, just state how, I've been asked this question, I didn't have the answer. I really didn't remember it after our meeting. How was the city of Palatka and its area selected to be cut? We've had several requests to answer that question, and you're the best person that can answer that question.
Sure.
How did those services, how were they selected to be cut?
It wasn't really a selection. It was a matter of what grants funded what services. Our Gainesville, St. Augustine, and Jacksonville routes are funded by what is termed 5311F, and that's 100% funding. So, when the COVID funding ended, that didn't roll back to 50%. The in-county routes were, the foundation of those was 5311 funding. And that included the Palatka City route, the cross-county expresses. Those are actually two routes that run from Satsuma to Interlaken and back all day, and the South Putnam feeder route. Those were all based on 5311, 50% funding. So when the COVID funding ended, the 100% COVID funding ended, really the tide went out on those routes. It wasn't a matter of us selecting. That was just historically what has supported those routes. And we went through 11 months of working with FDOT to find another grant solution.
Okay, and this is my last question.
Sure.
Because even I walked away from the meeting with this question once I got home. If the Medicaid funding would take someone, let's just say from here, North 3rd Street, and take them out to a dentist's office on Ziegler Drive, that's paid for with the Medicaid funds, is that correct? Or Medicare?
Right. Medicaid is the program that has the most transportation benefits. And we discontinued doing Medicaid transportation in 2019. So when somebody is calling into to us for a trip, one of the first things we check is whether or not they have Medicaid. If it's a medical trip. And if it is, then they're referred back to the Medicaid brokers.
So you cut out medical trips as well. I mean.
Right.
I mean,
When we stopped doing Medicaid in 2019, we discontinued doing all of the Medicaid medical trips. We still do medical trips for people that don't have Medicaid. And the bulk of that grant, that's called our Transportation Disadvantaged Non-Sponsored Funding. The bulk of that grant goes to transporting Medicare clients, particularly that are on dialysis.
And so no one could hitchhike a ride from, if someone is there's a bus stop on 3rd Street where you pick up that patient, you could not let a citizen just trying to get to that side of town ride that bus.
Everything within Putnam County at this point, with the exception of the routes that go to Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and Gainesville, everything is reservation based. So somebody needs a trip, they call us 2 days ahead of time. We get them on the schedule. Medical trips have priority. But if we have seats available, then we run a list of people that need to go shopping. And a day before that those trips occur, we contact the space available shopping people and get them on board the bus. So we do, as good a job of loading the vehicles as possible. The vehicles are probably percentage-wise more occupied than they were under the route system, but the route system provided so many more trips than what is possible to do under traditional demand response. In FY23, Putnam County Ride Solution produced 0.93 trips per capita. The average in FDOT District 2 for rural transit was 0.37. So assuming that we've come down 36%, we're probably at 0.55 trips per capita. Still more than the rural District 2 average, but 60% of Putnam County is transportation disadvantaged, and the state average is 40%. So the need here is tremendous, and this has affected a lot of people.
I have several questions, but I'm not going to ask them in this forum for sake of time. But what you're here for tonight, we are hopeful. However, we know how things go in Tallahassee. It can sound like it's favorable, but when it comes down to a vote, it goes the complete opposite direction.
Sure.
What is the future of Rod Solutions in the event that appropriations are not put in place? What can we do as a city, as a county, to make sure that we get back to a place? It may not be to the full extent. However, I think the young lady, if everyone wants to hear that in Tallahassee that spoke today, it's very much compelling. And I don't know if we as a city can go back and get that clip and do something with it, because she made a very compelling argument stating the things that she used to be able to do, that she's no longer to do, that she no longer can do. And it's affecting her mentally. It's affecting all of those things. And we have Mr. the name slipped me, it comes here talking about the mental health.
Mhm.
Mr. Best, Mr. Best. And so these things, I'm seeing it being a bowling ball effect, and the bowling ball is getting more speed, only to do damage. But I think if we come to a resolution or come to some kind of discussion to where, what can we do in the event that appropriations are not put into place, I think that should now be our conversation as well, so that we can provide solutions, because we never know. There may be a group of organizations that may be willing to come together to annually fund certain things. So I think, yeah, we want to make sure that we lean on Tallahassee. We want to make sure we lean on our legislators. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure that we've exhausted all available options here locally, so we can say, if it gets to a point of no longer being, we don't start the conversation then, we start it now and be more proactive.
Right, right. I think, overall, the revenue deficit in 1920 was $600,000. That's 900,000 in today's money. But there are, if we went in and looked at the Palatka City route, which was probably the most productive service, and initiated a discussion with the county and, see where that went. I think budgetarily, that might be possible, provided the, county and the city
Yeah,
participated.
and you don't have to give a solution tonight, but I
Sure.
think it gives us something, a discussion, especially if we're looking to work more as a cohesive unit, as a county and a city. I think it's the opportune time for this to be one of the main things, because at the end of the day, when we're getting to the point of almost, the session is about to end sooner than later than we,
Mhm.
it's gonna end sooner or later.
Mhm.
And then we want to make sure that we are proactively making sure that we don't drop it because it's no longer a hot topic. We want to make sure that it stays in the forefront of our site, again, because I'm quite sure, if you're a social media person, I'm seeing you, I know you see a lot of the posts that's going on. A lot of the people are, what can we do? What can they do?
Right.
And I just think we should be more proactive. And again, with Commissioner coming in tonight and being hopeful to make this a more cohesive unit, you all are a part of the puzzle, and we can't be complete without you. And so that's why I want to make sure that the conversation does not begin at a point of where we don't know or we do know, that it begins now and it continues with substance, so that we can formulate some solutions to these problems that we're facing. Of course, we want the entire county, but if the bulk of it is the city is getting the butt end of it,
Mhm.
we want to make sure that we help kick this can down the road to get some solutions.
Commissioner Campbell, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, again, I want to reiterate, you mentioned that you had you cut Medicaid, you say you cut Medicaid or Medicare?
Medicaid, just Medicaid. We do a lot of transport for Medicare clients.
But and then from my notes, from my meeting, I think that was like 400 and some $1,000.
Yeah, 450.
So you cut 400 and something. I'm trying to understand, why was the cut?
Because we hadn't had a rate increase in 5 years. And they were steadily amping up the billing hurdles, and we were at that point putting about 100,000 a year into subsidizing the Medicaid transport. So we weren't coming out on it.
Right, but if you chose to cut the 480,000 and you were you cut that out, so you've lost that amount in addition to the other 300 and some $1,000 that came from either FDOT or the 5311 funding. I was at the meeting the other day. That's why
Right.
I'm asking the question about the 480,000 when I took my notes.
All right. The Right, we we stopped doing Medicaid transportation.
But shouldn't you, Mama, this is the question. Shouldn't you have continued to operate, even at a somewhat of a loss, because you're still not gonna be, you're not spending all of what you're making, I'm assuming, because you're saying you were $100 and some $1,000 over because they had not increased your rates. So that's just one thing I took note on. The other thing I think, is I think we should have had more people here as it relates to you knowing that your ridership is having issues with funding. The people who's going to be impacted, I think we should have had a room full of people like Miss Darlene Lible, who came in tonight. Those stories are compelling. But we need to hear more of that. But we want to make sure that you're doing things from a fiscally being in a fiscally responsible way, because we have to take the tax dollars from the city, which we don't get very much of, and we have to try and help the people who's going to be impacted. But we want to make sure that you're fiscally responsible as well. So that's just
Certainly.
But again, I'm here. I'm here to help. I just heard a few things that I thought should bear a question.
All right.
I think this conversation can go on and on. In order for us to go ahead and bring this to a resolution, it's gonna be something that we need to revisit. And Madam Mayor, if I may, my suggestion would be to call this for a vote and then possibly have this come back before us where we're able to talk about it at a more extensive time and bring in a lot more of our stakeholders in to see what resolutions we can do or what options we do have in order for us to explore this, and maybe even calling a town hall, just so that we can get some of the citizens' input. We hear it, but again, with stories like we heard tonight, that's only fuel to our fire to make sure that we get something done if we can.
Right.
So that's what I would make the recommendation that we are able to move forward.
And even staff, even your staff, because if you lose that funding, almost $1 million, I mean, your staff, you're gonna have to cut some of your staff. So those kind of things, I mean, we need to see and hear those stories to be able to see what we can help, but how we can help. But the big resounding thing is, my thing is fiscal accountability, fiscal responsibility, and making sure that those things are done properly. So not questioning anything.
Yeah, certainly.
I just from my notes.
Yep.
And very briefly, one of the things we did discuss in that meeting was rate increase, and those were one of the topics that we didn't really entertain in that meeting, but that's one of the things that she brought up tonight was rate increase. So we definitely need to talk about that.
Sure.
Yeah, the rate increase, they said it was just so minuscule. No, it was a minuscule because I think the ridership was like $1
Yes.
per person.
Mm.
So if you got 2,000 riders or whatever, unique riders, 2,000 plus unique riders, or if you even had 3,000, you're only gonna gain $3,000. You're not gonna get any funding for the operations or the continuance of that business. So that's minuscule.
Right.
Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
The application.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Hello, Mayor and Commission members. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is John Schulten. I live in Satsuma over across the bridge, and I'm here today asking for the city's permission for the placement and the city's acceptance for the role of caretaker, meaning responsible for installation and maintenance of a state historical marker in Riverfront Park.
Just for clarification purposes, is there an allotted time for him to make his statement? Sonny, could you? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Thank you. The marker will mark the spot where March 27th, 1863, Union forces attempted to occupy Palatka for the first time. Union forces were made primarily the 1st South Carolina Volunteer Infantry Regiment, and they were ambushed shortly after the landing began by forces under the command of Confederate Cavalry Captain J.J. Dickinson. The Union forces outnumbered the Confederates by many times. They were forced to make a retreat after a brief skirmish. Estimates for casualties in the attack were about 20 to 30 in total, all on the Union side. This event is significant not only because it marks the first attempt by Union forces to occupy Palatka, but for several other reasons as well. The 1st South Carolina Volunteer Infantry Regiment, later known as the 33rd United States Colored Troops, were the first unit in the U.S. Army to be made of freed African American slaves. They were instrumental in the integration of the U.S. Armed Forces. They paved the way for our current, literally everything after. They were the first. Furthermore, the second in command of this unit, Lieutenant Colonel Liberty Billings, was wounded in this action. Really just a couple hundred yards from here at the base of the bridge was where this was. And he later served in the Florida State Senate during the Reconstruction era and was honored by the state as a Great Floridian in 2000. This battle also shows a desperate defense by a small Confederate force against a much larger and superior Union force, which shows how important Palatka was to both sides during Civil War. This has always been a very historically important city, as I'm sure you guys are all aware. In conclusion, I believe the city's cooperation with this project would be of great benefit for the community and the state. Properly marking a site where men fought and died for our country that is within our city would do great service to their sacrifice and courage. I'm aware of several other historical markers as well as memorials to service members that are within Riverfront Park, and I believe this would make a great addition. I'm planning on raising the funds for the marker myself and of handling the application myself through the state. I just need the city's permission for the placement in Riverfront Park. There's also any guidance too, is like where it could go, you know, like maybe there's like utilities being run in certain places, you know, et cetera, that kind of thing. As well as acceptance of the caretaker role, which would just be installation and maintenance of the marker. I look forward to hopefully helping the city with this. Thank you very much.
What my concern is I like to have a little background on what this marker is gonna present, who it represented, not at the present time, but in the past. What kind of history does it carry? I just want one answer. One.
Hello, sir. It would just mark the place where the Union first tried to occupy Palatka during the Civil War. And as I said, we have the first ever African-American regiment in the United States military was involved in this action, as well as one of their commanding officers who later served in the state Senate. And he was honored as a great Floridian. I believe his home is actually currently preserved as a historical thing up in Fernandina Beach as well. And it's also too just showing how important our city is in the realm of the Civil War, how the Confederates were desperately trying to defend it. The Union, you know, tried to attack it, and it was something that went back and forth over the years. And as far as I know, there's not much information on this anywhere. A lot of this research I conducted myself, and it was in the packet for you guys, as well as there was a whole bunch more I emailed to, I think, Mayor Correa or Mrs. Krantz, all my sources and everything. It was a little project. It took a lot of digging. I had to go through the National Archives, all kinds of things to find records. So I just think it was an important historical event that would do well to mark. And the marker is just it's probably about, you've seen them. There's a few around, yeah.
Okay, what role did the Confederates play?
The battle is described as being taking place at Teasdale and Reed's Wharf, which I confirmed through my research to have been at the foot of the base of Reed Street, where the current day Riverfront Park is.
It was also affiliated with Confederacy, right?
Well, it was a Civil War battle, so there were
Yeah, so
both sides were there.
Involved, right?
I mean, yes, sir.
Okay, so my question is, do you know a little history to the point that Confederacy and slavery rode in the same vehicle?
I'm familiar with the Civil War. Yeah.
I mean, well then, how in this God world can you, whoever permitted this?
Okay,
Can we-
we're just here to get information, please don't, yeah, I mean, I think.
I can't understand what you're saying. Talk
I
loud.
want to get to that. Mr. Shelton just did some research. I might Okay, it's not usually off, I'm sorry. Mr. Schulten did this research. I don't think it was here to kind of question and go back and forth. It's here for the commission perhaps to ask questions. You expressed your concern,
Yes,
which is that it doesn't represent the
yes, I will
Confederacy
do
or not.
that right now.
Okay, okay, but not to go in a back and forth dialogue with
Yes,
Mr.
let me,
Schulten. Okay,
my reason for knowing it, him or whoever permitted this to happen, apparently they don't know any background and history. And it's beyond my recognition for whoever permitted this to be on the agenda with the background of this marker, which these four commissioners, their ancestors, mothers and fathers, came from Africa in the bottom of a ship like cattle, living in their feces, sleeping in their feces. And then you, whoever presented this, I don't know who permitted it, but they have the audacity to ask these four individuals to vote on something that individuals put their parents and forefathers through hell. And just let me give, I wanted one answer, but I'm gonna give you 99 answers why it shouldn't be put. And I'm gonna give you about 4.
and you have a minute, so go ahead, a little over.
I mean, this is important.
Yes, no, I'm not saying, I believe it is important. Go ahead, Mr. Scott.
Everybody else has talked, so let me talk.
Okay, quickly.
Ms. McCaskill, you, ladies like your husband, you were raped in the presence of your husband. Ladies were pregnant, their babies was cut out of their belly. Jason, you was permitted and castrated and thrown in a route stake den. Jones, you had to ride in the bus of a vehicle. Rufus, you had to get off the sidewalk, or 2 white ladies would come on the sidewalk. You had to get off. 2 cities in America were burnt flat because they were accused of saying something to a white woman. No information was given and no truth was in it. So how can you ask these 4 individuals to vote on something that their ancestors went to hell? But the people permitted this didn't give a damn. You don't know what make the baby cry at night because you was out collecting the men, boys, hanging them in trees like animals on a slaughterhouse. And you ask these 4 individuals to vote on something, to put up a marker to represent what their ancestors went through. How can you have that? You have to work with these people. Now they know who you are. You've been hiding behind this symbol. Now, when they get in the same meeting with you or do business,
Excuse me.
you can't hide.
Can we,
Yes, please, and this is direction. We're not voting on, we're discussing it, and that's the point. And a citizen came forth with this
Well,
information. But
okay.
we need to finish up, but yes,
I'm gonna finish up right now. And
Okay,
this
please
was
do.
This garbage here, individuals in one meeting was wondering how you were gonna shut down the city to pick up the garbage. Why are those individuals here tonight to pick up this garbage that they're put before these 4 individuals with a whole lot of disrespect? You can't get any lower than the least common denominator for what you want these individuals to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spell. Ms. McCaskill, do you have any thoughts? Again, somebody brought this forth, and because they did, somebody in the community,
if I may-
here to discuss.
if I may just offer.
You may, Mr. Kim.
Just offer a solution right now. I make a motion that we just not even entertain this right now. Give us the opportunity,
That's-
because again, some things may have become triggering to individuals, and I just don't think this is the time at this moment to further engage in conversation with regards to this decision.
Second. Okay, it was direction, so again, we want to just totally do away with this, or table it for another time, discussion wise, or just leave it be and let it go? How do we want to proceed? Just so we can either bring closure or whatever.
I'm up to listening to the rest, but as of now, I don't think the conversation will be productive.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to be clear that you want to, that we're not going to move forward with this and we're just going to close this topic, correct? Thank you. I'm sorry. Okay. Motion to, will somebody make a motion, please?
This is a direction. Thi-
It's
This says
that's
direction
why
is
it's
not
direction. It's not. That's why
anything
I was
for
wondering-
vote.
That's why I was bringing it to a vote.
There's a motion on the
Gave a
floor, though.
motion, let's go again.
It's already been seconded. We're for a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Thank you.
The motion was not to discuss this topic further.
Any further? On to public hearings, Ms. Krantz.
Bringing to you ordinance number 2023-39, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, annexing into the corporate limits of the city of Palatka, Florida, certain adjacent territory identified as parcel 021026400260, 0010002102640, 026140, and 021026400262. 40 is located at 3510 Reed Street, 3524 Reed Street, 115 Phillips Dairy Road, and contiguous to the boundaries of the city of Palatka, providing for scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commission members. As you have heard, this is a request to annex in 3 parcels on Reed Street. This is the second reading of these ordinances. Would you like me to elaborate further?
Does anybody want further information? I guess not.
Okay.
I'm going to open up to public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion?
So move, second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Ms. Krantz?
Moving along, this is the same item, Madam Mayor.
Right.
Ordinance number 2023-41, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the city of Palatka, Florida be amended from Putnam County General Commercial C2, Putnam County General Commercial C3, and Putnam County Industrial Light to the city of Palatka Intensive Commercial for the following property located 3510 Reed Street, 3524 Reed Street, and 115 Phillips Dairy Road, Palatka, Florida 32177. Parcel numbers 210-2640-0260-0010, 0210-2640-0261-40, and 0210-2640-0262-40, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I'm going to open the floor to public comment. Is anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion?
So move, second.
A motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. B?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Presenting to the commission ordinance number 2023-47, an ordinance of the city of Palatka, Florida, providing that the official zoning map of the city of Palatka, Florida be amended from the city of Palatka General Commercial Light to the city of Palatka Light Industrial for the following property located on K. Larkin Drive, Palatka, Florida 32177. Parcel number 310-2640-0131-0020 from the city of Palatka AP1 to the city of Palatka Light Industrial for the following property located at 10 K. Larkin Circle, Palatka, Florida 32177. Parcel number 310-2640-001040 from city of Palatka Airport zoning AP1 to city of Palatka Light Industrial M1 for portion of the following property located at 4015 Reed Street, Palatka, Florida 32177. Parcel number 310-2640-001040, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
So move. Oh,
A minute, Ms. Walsh. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Walsh?
This is the second reading for this zoning request as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open the floor to public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion?
so move.
Got a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, thank you. Excuse me, on to C.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'm presenting to the commission ordinance number 2023-45, an ordinance of the city of Palatka authorizing the execution of documents accomplishing the release of that reverter found in the city of Palatka ordinance 1019, thereby eliminating the requirement that the portion of North 16th Street which lies between St. John's Avenue and Reed Street, Highway 17, be used as a new car dealership in order to avoid the reversion to the city of Palatka of the street that was vacated by ordinance 1019 and the documents authorized therein, providing that the easement retained this by the city as described within ordinance 1019 would continue to be retained by the city and would not be relinquished or released, providing for scrivener's errors and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh.
Last item on the public hearings. This is again a second reading. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Now I'm opening up to public comment. Anybody here for public comment on this item? Saying none, we'll close public comment to a motion.
So moved. Second.
A motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. On to emergency items, discussion, direction, scope of charter review workshop, Ms. West.
Thank you, Mayor. So you should have all received a memorandum earlier today that addressed questions raised by the commissioners at the January 8th meeting. I apologize for not being able to be there in person. The question posed, can the city commission amend the city charter by ordinance? Generally, the answer to that is no. Pursuant to Florida statutes 166.131, there are certain circumstances under which it is permissible to amend the city charter by ordinance. First, a municipality may, by ordinance and without referendum, redefine its boundaries to include only those lands previously annexed and shall file that redefinition with the Department of State. Thank goodness, because otherwise we would have had to spend almost an entire year trying to figure out all the ordinances that annex land into the city. So thank goodness we don't have to deal with that. Second, a municipality by unanimous vote of the governing body may abolish municipal departments provided for in a charter or amend provisions or language out of the charter if it has been judicially construed to be contrary to either the state or federal constitution. So I had previously, back in October, outlined several issues under the charter that I identified as, potentially being within the scope of the Charter Review Committee that you're working to establish. Of all the issues that I identified, the only one that, in my legal opinion, I found was not going to have to go to a referendum on the ballot would be the first, which is establishing the legal boundary of the city. Would you like me to go through the other points?
I don't believe so, but does anybody else want that to happen? No?
That meeting was the other day.
Okay, does everybody else? have it?
What were the points? The other points.
And the she should lay that memo.
There's, I guess, some of the other things that was in there. I think, you also mentioned the number of, commissioners, for a city manager position. Is, I think you also mentioned in the write-up that you sent out prior to, I don't know if it was one I saw earlier, said that, some of the other Fernandina, some other city, had, super majority, I guess, vote in order to, terminate a city manager as opposed to just a simple majority.
Yes, Commissioner. Satellite Beach had a referendum that basically provided for a super majority vote. So basically 3+1 of this particular commission that would be required to terminate or hire a city manager. And I had suggested that perhaps within the scope of the Charter Review Committee that they consider such a referendum because it would help with the retention of your potentially new city manager.
I'm not friendly to it, me personally. And the reason being is that, a city manager has a great deal of latitude once a budget is passed. If you're, you can get a city manager, not saying ours, but, you can certainly see that we've had 9 or 10 since, I started in, well, no, yeah, we've had 10, we've had 10, we had 5 interims and five permanents. Count them, I got them. But anyway, so when we have, and generally city managers, some of them last, 3-4 years, but again, some of it is based on how the conduct of that city manager as it relates, because I know city managers lasted for 25 years, 20 years, 15 years, different things like that, but that's when you got good city managers. But I don't want to change the charter to limit the ability for the simple majority, because that's what the majority of the state, how the state operates. I would dare not go against that when we only got like less than five who move into a super majority. That means that you can get a city manager in here, they can go to town. If you got, if they're serving one or two commissioners,
Yeah,
it's been done before. So I don't want that headache.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm just, I just said, I don't want that headache because I know what I have to deal with as it relates to city managers we've had and I've known about in other places.
Right. So knowing that you've had an extremely high turnover rate with your city manager positions, it was a recommendation that I had identified in my October 2nd memo and provided another municipality as that's of like size as an example for using a supermajority. But again, this is all within the scope of your charter review committee to make recommendations to you on what you want to put on the ballot. You can either accept or reject whatever recommendations they come up with. That's all on you.
I recommend our commission reject that request and leave it as is.
Not even be considered. That was-
Not entertain it. Not to get
I
four.
Will
4 out of 5.
advise the charter review committee of your desire there.
Yeah, that could be removed.
Anything else?
The
Are you
other,
again? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because I had
Commissioner
a-
Warren is still going.
I think
please.
I think we had talked about, and I think you might have referenced it in terms of having the city attorney report to the commission as it is like the majority of the state. I like to look at and see and model ourselves like the state. We don't want to be like us so unique that we stick out. And so I think that would be a safe thing for our city to be able to model ourselves just like the other cities, that when we had the research done, it's in the paperwork or whatever as how to relate. If it was the other way, I would go with the recommendation of the majority if it, but it's worked for other cities, and I think it can work for us as well.
Okay, so you want to make sure that that is also included in the scope for the charter review committee to consider.
Correct.
I'm in agreement with that.
And while we're on the charter committee review, I think I can go ahead and cast, because somebody reached out to me regarding want to be on the committee. Vito Russo, he asked me he was interested in it. And so I want him to get him to get the application and go ahead and file. Because it's hard to get people to work for free. And so when people reach out to you, you have to grab them when they're available. So he's willing to do it. And so rather than try to go and locate somebody else to do it, I got a guy.
And so just a reminder, the commissioners have until January 31st as a deadline to submit the items that you want to be considered for the scope. Perfect. Right now, I have direction on only one issue.
Which one?
And also who you want to
Well,
nominate for the
she-
committee.
Yeah, go ahead.
What
Get-
was,
get out
can you put it on the record? Which ones? Because I'm not sure which one you have.
Just the one that you've mentioned, to have the city attorney report to the commission.
And so we scratched.
Supermajority.
And we scratched.
But that's not to be considered in the scope.
Right, at all.
So
But
I
I'm
have
just saying,
one
yes,
issue
okay.
currently.
Okay.
Okay. Just to clarify.
And I would like for you to present to the committee that spreadsheet, which we talked after the meeting, Ms. Krantz actually categorized cities our size similar in how they are structured. And I think the majority was structured as we were speaking of, and that's what Commissioner Bourne was talking about now. Because what was presented at that workshop, it didn't reflect that. I think Ms. Krantz understand what we're talking about, so
Okay,
we want to definitely have that, so that it won't be no misunderstanding. We see the same type of information.
Certainly.
We're making our decision based on the same information.
Anything that I have, I'll be glad to share it with the charter review committee when appointed.
No, it's a direction to have the cities similar size and makeup to show how they're structured. Because how we're structured, majority are not structured.
Yes, no, it's a commission.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, most cities across the state, of the 411 cities, most, I would say, are council manager structure.
Right. I mean, the,
Oh. No, okay.
like what you just said.
Okay.
Commissioner,
Specifically, I think.
manager, attorney.
Yeah.
Both.
But if you look at all the data, it referenced that in that column. So you just have to see all of it can be filtered in a way that we can show them all in one.
Make sure.
Yes.
And I think that was the request for that type of query, this grants.
I create my own query. I know how to do it.
No, I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just saying we asked this question.
So, one of the other issues that I raised was the airport is nowhere in your charter.
Mhm.
I really would just suggest reviewing that October 2nd memo and giving me direction by January 31st into what to include in the scope, because right now I only have direction on one item. Thank you.
So could I ask you, Ms. West?
Yes.
Could you also do some research and again, bring to us what those other municipalities are doing, how it's structured? How is the information about the airport for the other municipalities are mentioned and structured in their charter? That makes sense? If I make myself clear?
So you want me to research like populated inland counties that have airports to see if that airport is included in their charter?
Absolutely, and how they are incorporated, because that's a task for a legal-minded person or a qualified person to be able to give us direction on, and we will be able to further solidify it.
Commissioner Jones, I'm not sure I'm gonna have enough time between now and the
How do you,
31st.
okay,
I mean,
but,
we have 411 cities in the state of
Well-
Florida.
well, we have some help, we have staff.
Not in the legal department.
There is one. Go ahead. Ms.
Have you shared that spreadsheet with council already?
Yeah,
Or
I've
you
seen it.
kinda- okay, and kind of condensed and did like populations already.
Seen it.
Sunny,
It's saved in our joint file folder. She has
and then
access
when
to
you
it.
kind of condensed it and did the like populations and did all of that, well, she can do it too, and to make it friendly for how she needs to help her in her process. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Is there anything additionally in regards to this topic? Okay. With that said, is there any commissioner comments? Commissioner Campbell?
I just want to make sure that the citizens of Palatka know that all Martin Luther King event festivities that were supposed to happen on Monday, the 15th, has been postponed. We're working with the city to come up with a date that will be done in February. So no activities on Monday as they used to be.
But the breakfast is still on for Saturday.
Breakfast is still on Saturday. All stuff for Monday has been postponed.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones, any comments?
No one.
Commissioner Boyle?
Yes, I got a brief one real quick. If we can have our city attorney to draft a resolution as it relates to the homestead exemption from 50,000 to 75,000. We need to get that done because basically they're trying to provide a tax cut for the homestead people who have property within our jurisdiction. And basically they're just shifting the funding over to business owners and also renters. Just because you get a tax cut on your home doesn't mean that where the funds got to be made up by somewhere you need to cut services or the funds just don't appear from out of the air. So they're gonna go to the business owners and they're gonna go to the renters. So we just need to be aware of that. We've been blessed working with Andrea Lesko and group. They have blessed the city for about 6 years. We had 4 years that we've attended the Orlando Magic games. We've been taking 40 kids plus down to Orlando, charter bus, giving them, an experience, NBA game experience, and them, being able to, have floor access, with the players, cutting the nets down while, after the game is over. They participate in activities and games and different things of that nature during halftime. So we're gonna take about 40 kids, and we're gonna have about, 10 chaperones. Um, March 29th, we'll be, the Orlando Magic will be playing against the Wizards, I think. So we'll be, we've been blessed to do that. And I'm sorry, they'll be playing against the Clippers. So I'll be approaching the city for maybe a little additional help. The tickets are already paid for. The charter bus is already taken care of. So basically, we used to give the kids $20 per student so that they can eat while they're at the game. And that's gonna run us about $1,000. So I'll be approaching the board, and if not, then I can find some in the general fund somewhere out of my line item. So that's what we got coming up, and look for the support.
Happy to draft that resolution, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCaskill? Okay, thank you. With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.